This definitely fits in the category of weird weirdness.
Come on, before someone sees us. Allie's probably waiting already.
He motioned me through the door and followed right behind me. It was strange. At the courtyard area, it was definitely summer, or maybe late spring. The air was much warmer than Pine Hollow and everything was green. I must have had an odd look on my face because Corvin laughed slightly and pulled me further inside, shutting the door behind us.
We're at a place attached to my family's cafe. It's kind of a nice little getaway. I like coming here sometimes. It can be overwhelming to always be so crowded by people at school, but it's lonely when I'm here by myself.
So he wasn't always fond of his crowd of admirers. The woes of being popular, I guess. It's beautiful.
I'm glad you like it.
Didn't you say Allie would be here? Does she have a key like that?
She usually has lunch here, but I guess we beat her today. And as for the key...
He laughed sheepishly.
Well, you can get here from the club room.
I raised an eyebrow and tried for a glare, though I don't think it worked. So, abducting me from the hall and dragging me through a supply closet was just so you could show off?
Well, maybe.
I guess it didn't matter much anyway if the end result was the same. There was a rustle of movement on the other side of the courtyard as someone let out a tongue-curling, okay, yawn, and sat up from where they'd been sleeping under one of the trees. I kind of figured it would be you. It was Brenna. Ooh. She eyed us tiredly, picking a leaf out of her hair as she yawned again. Ooh. What did you bring that one here for? Corvin looked at me curiously.
Well, to have lunch.
That one? By the way, I never got a chance to thank you for helping me that morning by the bridge. I kind of ran off suddenly and... I wasn't helping you. She stretched slowly, arching her back just like a cat before she stood. Oh. What were you doing then? Brenna sashayed past us, opening the door we'd just come through. This time the club room appeared on the other side. She glanced back at me before stepping through. I just didn't want them to get their way. She slammed the door shut behind her before I could ask what that meant. Then? I looked at Corbin, but he just shrugged, apparently as confused as I was. I wasn't entirely sure what to think of that. Still, she did help me back then, whether that had been her goal or not. I shouldn't have waited so long to thank her for it. But what them? And get their way? What did any of that mean? The door opened again and I turned, expecting Allie this time. But Ewan stepped through instead, fortunately with his head intact. I really never expected I'd have that thought. About anyone. I hadn't actually seen much of him over the last few days.
Ewan comes here sometimes as well.
I can see that. He ignored us both, went to the far side of the courtyard, and plopped down exactly where Brenna had been. How many places like this are there in the school exactly?
None of these places are in the school, but there are only a few stationary ports like the door in the club room, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, sure. I was definitely asking about stationary ports, whatever those are. He held up his key again, laughing.
With one of these, you can access pretty much any non-restricted port in the region, as long as you can properly visualize it.
Okay, I'm gonna read about that to get some more info. Let's see. No. No. Ah, here we go. So, traveling by door is a thing in this place, which doesn't sound all that mystical when I write it out. But in actuality, it's literally a magic thing where a door acts as a portal between two places that aren't connected. There are stationary ports, which are portals assigned to specific doors. Usually they're accessed by knocking on a connected door or speaking an incantation, then just stepping through it to the other location. There are also special keys that let you access any portal in the area from any door at all, whether it's magical or not, so long as the portals aren't locked or restricted, and as long as you know where you're going. So these ports are like
portals that lead directly to areas not in your immediate locale. This key can open a port in any functioning door, as long as the portal I'm trying to get to doesn't have a spell restricting access.
That's actually pretty cool, she says, going back to her journal. Let's see, probably connected to that last thing. Yes. There are also keys that let you turn any surface into a door that connects to the portal system in the area. With one of these, it doesn't matter where you are, you can always access the portals and travel around conveniently. Apparently, though, they're pretty difficult to come by. Okay.
Magic usually is.
I looked over at the spot where Ewan had flopped down, mulling over whether or not that was true. I guess it depended on how you defined magic. By the way, is Ewan always this friendly? I lowered my voice to a whisper. He was basically completely ignoring us. He didn't even say hello.
He just takes a while to warm up to people. He finds socializing a little awkward, you know.
But I mean, we all already know about the head thing. It's not like we're going to freak out. Again.
That doesn't make it less uncomfortable, considering that he made you faint and scream.
I did not scream. It was more of a squeak. Corvin just laughed.
Come on.
He took my arm and led me to a table. As we were pulling the chairs out to sit, I heard another familiar voice. Hey! So Cor decided to show you the courtyard? Allie, hey! I hadn't heard her come in.
Hi, Allie.
She quickly joined us. So, what do you think of it? It's really amazing. I mean, you already know that.
Hey, I'm going to step out to get our lunches.
Oh, right. I didn't bring anything. Should I?
My treat. It's a date, right? Besides, we're getting food from my family's cafe.
Wait! He exited through a different door, leaving me to deal with Allie, who had a really smug grin on her face. I glared at her. Not a word. Oh, I wasn't going to say anything at all. I hope I'm not interrupting your date, though. Literally the worst. It's not a date. It's just lunch. So you eat here a lot? Yep, changing the subject as fast as possible. Moving swiftly on. I see. Well, I do prefer it to the cafeteria. Why's that? Too crowded. And it smells like my dad's feet. Well, I couldn't dispute that, really. Not that I'd ever smelled her dad's feet, but it did have kind of a footish sort of smell sometimes. And the murder has really good food. The murder? His parents' cafe is called The Murder? I guess as in, like, crows, right? I hope. Like a murder of crows, a gathering of crows, please. The Murder? That's what the cafe is called? She just laughed as she pulled out a chair and flopped down. I sat as well and looked around again. It's not just a cafe. That's sort of their front. I mean, it is run by a family of wizards after all. But it's not just the food. I mean, it's not really that at all. The truth is, She was suddenly really quiet, and there was something sad about her smile. Yeah, I thought so. I thought this was a face I don't really see on her. Sometimes I guess I feel like I'm growing away from my other friends. There's a huge part of my life I can't really talk about at all with them. It's kind of hard sometimes. But I can come here and talk about it with Ewan or whoever else is here.
Like Brenna? Allie made a face. She was here when we got here.
No one talks to Brenna about anything.
But she's so pleasant.
Yeah, right. Anyway, that's why I was so glad to find out you're one of us. It can be really hard to feel so disconnected from everyone else.
She leaned over and gave me a tight hug. Aw, Allie.
I'm really glad we can share this.
I hugged her back. I mean, I was glad too. I couldn't imagine trying to get through this with a bunch of strangers. Still, was it that impossible to keep normal friendships when you were on this side? Danny and Elliot seem to have a lot of friends, though. I mean, even if they can't share that they're not human.
Well, if you think about it, both of them are able to lead pretty normal lives during the day. My magic never gets turned off, so I kind of have to be on constant guard for casting accidental magic if I get worked up. And Ewan, it's the same for him. It's one reason the rules about exposure are more strict when magic's involved.
I glanced Ewan's way, but he had his back to us and showed no indication of joining the conversation. But what about Corbin? He's always surrounded by people.
Corvin can't completely shut out others because of his work with the Ori lurking around the school. But having to spend time with people because you're responsible for their safety isn't quite the same as being friends with them.
Responsible for their safety? That made it sound different than I imagined somehow. Yeah, it's more like it's his job to be popular, more so than he enjoys it. I guess he's rather lonely.
Besides, most of those people are just drawn to him because of his magic.
Because of his magic? I didn't really get what she was trying to say. What does...
Ori are naturally drawn to me.
Startled, I looked up at him. He set a few white bags on the table before pulling out a chair for himself. Allie reached in and started pulling out sandwiches and paper cups. I immediately smelled coffee. When you say Ori, those are pieces of souls that attack people, right?
They don't always attack people. In fact, it's usually pretty rare that even the lost ones resort to attacks. It only happens if they've absorbed miasma. That also tends to make them want to stay away from me. But I was talking about everyday Ori.
Everyday Ori?
Ori are just the pieces of our souls that house secrets, dreams, memories, and other similar aspects of a person's heart. Some break loose and wander free for various reasons. But everyone has Ori within them. Ori that are a part of them, influencing their actions on a daily basis. And even if an Ori is attached to someone, it's still drawn to me.
But why? What exactly is your responsibility?
Think of him as being like a guide. Caring for Ori or helping the lost ones get home is just what he does.
So, if the Ori that are still part of people are drawn to you...
The rest of the person feels that pull as well. Ori are like that. They influence your thoughts, feelings, even actions because they're a part of who you are.
You make it seem like all the little parts of my soul have a will of their own.
Not all of them. It's not as if every memory or dream becomes an Ori.
It sounds complicated. But what you're saying is that the only reason other people flock to you is because they're drawn to your magic. That huge crowd that follows you around. None of that's real friendship? My poor boy. Corbin didn't answer that. He just smiled slightly as he pulled a cup from one of the bags and pushed it toward me.
Allie said you like coffee. I got this one for you. I think you'll like it. It's a new latte my brother came up with.
An obvious change of subject. I took the cup and wrapped my hands around it, letting the warmth seep into my hands as the smell of coffee wafted gently up. Everyone was silent for a few minutes. I was sort of glad I'd come if it meant I might learn a little more about the others and what they did. I never expected Corvin to be something like a guide for souls or whatever. What sort of job was that? Who gave it to him, I wondered.
I think a friendship can be genuine, even when you're initially drawn to someone for other reasons.
I looked up at him, surprised when he said that very quietly. Then why are you here trying to get away from them?
Well, because keeping things from other people is tiring.
Oh, hello, Ewan. He'd finally decided to join us, apparently, but he didn't look up at me as he nabbed a sandwich for himself. So awkward.
Always being cautious so you're not found out doesn't do much for deep interpersonal relationships.
Now that I could understand. Dealing with all this around my family had been tough, especially with Spencer being suspicious and cranky right from the start. It was probably like that for everyone to varying degrees, depending on how much their families knew about them, of course. But for Corbin to constantly be surrounded by people who didn't even know why they liked him, that was sad. I took a sip of my coffee, letting out a happy sound at the nutty flavor. It had just a hint of sweetness and spice. Very appropriate for fall, though it wasn't fall where we happened to be having lunch.
Like it?
It's really great. You said your brother came up with it.
Yeah, he likes to experiment. This one's brand new, so we're still testing it with customers to see how it goes over.
It's good.
I'm glad. I haven't really even had a chance to try it yet.
Do you want a sip? Tease him about being a bad brother. I mean, I would just be like, you want to... I know it's like indirect kissing and all that. You're probably going to do your, like, smoochy pouty face, but... Want to give it a try? I pushed the cup toward him, and he took it, turning it so he could take a careful sip from the hole in the lid.
Ah, it really is good. I'll have to let Merle know it has the Nora stamp of approval.
He gave me a teasing smirk.
I'm sure those are hard to come by.
He handed the cup back over, and I took another sip, and the indirect kiss has been completed. Not too hard to come by, really. Allie cleared her throat quietly and looked over at me. She had a funny look on her face, because me and her are on the same wavelength. What?
Sharing a cup? Really? When did you guys get so close?
I mean, she just offered it, so...
I paused in the middle of taking a drink.
You know what they say about that, right?
I swallowed the coffee and gave her a confused look. They say things about that? Allie just laughed and shook her head. I looked over at Corvin and noticed a suspicious pink hue creeping across his cheeks. He covered his mouth with one hand and looked away. Well, at least he's smart. Why is he so embarrassed? Am I missing something here? Ewan, help me out.
Indirect kiss?
Oh, Ewan. I just stared at them all. Corvin's face was red and Allie was smirking at me. Even Ewan seemed slightly amused. I'd shared things with Spencer so often as a kid that I didn't even think about that kind of thing. Same. Excuse me. Big same. Similar thing actually happened to me and my husband when we weren't dating yet. We went for coffee and I can't remember. I think he offered me his drink to try. And I never thought about indirect kissing at the time. But I think I sipped from a different spot of the cup. Why am I getting embarrassed about this? But I never really thought about it because I had also shared stuff with my brother all the time as a kid, and he didn't think about it, but other people pointed that out to us later. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Indirect kiss? Was that even a thing? How could you indirectly kiss someone? It was a kiss or it wasn't?
Glad to see you're as dense as ever.
I'm not dense. Good grief. Why were things suddenly so awkward over something as simple as sharing a drink from the same cup? I looked over at Corvin and his face was still red. Seeing him embarrassed was making me feel embarrassed. I sipped at my cup and looked away. Indirect kiss my foot. It was just sharing a cup. It wasn't anything like a kiss. Like I'd ever kiss him. Careful. I'm gonna eat those words one day. I mean, it's not like he wasn't good looking, but it was kind of... Ugh! Damn it! Now Allie had me thinking of weird things. I could hear her next to me trying to hold in the giggles and had to restrain the urge to kick her. Glaring at her, I set my cup down, determined to change the subject. Ahem. So, I've been wondering.
Yes?
Stop looking so smug. I tried to think of something to say to change the subject. Oh, what are you guys going to be doing during Samhain?
Why the interest so suddenly?
It's not sudden, really. I've been wanting to ask more about it. Then yesterday, Danny and Elliot refused to go to a Halloween party because of it, so it's got me curious.
They usually patrol around our neighborhood to keep an eye on things, just in case.
Patrolling in case of what?
Well, remember I told you that there's an influx of paranormal activity?
Yeah?
The magic overflow just makes it easier for a lot of supernatural creatures to interact with the human world. There are also just a lot of new ones that float into town on the currents and get stuck here for a few days.
Most of them are harmless enough, but there are always a few troublemakers.
So the agency has a bunch of high school students on the lookout for paranormal troublemakers?
We don't do anything dangerous. Most of what we do is work leading up to Samhain, like checking on gates and stuff, or just cataloging what all has washed into town.
They're hardly going to have us policing dangerous cryptics, but we can at least keep an eye on things and alert the agency if there's anything really worrying lurking around.
But the official agents are the ones on the lookout for more serious things, like cryptics preying on each other or whatever.
Preying on each other? Like Ethan? Corvin, who had been silent until then, must have noticed my alarm.
It's not uncommon, sadly. Not with certain types of cryptics. There are a lot of them that feed on various types of energy. Because weak cryptics get a power boost at this time of year, it makes them more appetizing.
I shot Allie an accusatory look. You didn't tell me that paranormal society was ripe with cannibalism.
Sorry.
By the way, I hope someone's told you to stay inside over that weekend. With your inability to really mask your magic, your aura will be lit up like a candle to anyone paying attention.
That's good to know. Thank you, Corvin.
I was going to help set up some wards to keep everything out of her house, too. Either this weekend or next.
You were? That's news to me.
Well, I was going to run it by you today sometime. So, now you know. Look, I just want to play it safe, that's all. Just put up some spells to keep out intruders. It's nothing to worry about.
I'm more worried that you think something is going to try to get inside in the first place.
The issue is that you're Fae, and you don't know how to protect yourself. We may not have as much vitality as other races, but our life energy is extremely pure. That can attract some attention. We're also a bit more in tune with overflow than other species, which means we do get a boost in magic aura.
100% pure life energy. What's everyone else's life energy made of?
Other creatures are just more easily tainted by impurities, miasma or anything else.
I smirked at him. So, Ewan and I are sparkling, clean mountain spring water, And you guys are just pond scum?
Ha ha ha.
I grinned at her.
Anyway, so it's okay if I stop by?
Yeah. Mom would probably be pretty ticked off if something broke in and ate her daughter, so...
Then I'll let you know when I can make it over.
Sounds good to me. She finished off her lunch and put her trash in one of the white bags.
I need to head to the principal's office before lunch is over, so I'm leaving early.
Ewan also stood.
I'll be going too.
He gathered up all the extra trash and shoved it in one of the bags, which he took with him. Thank you guys for being so tidy and leaving me on my date. I watched the two of them leave, suddenly realizing I was alone with Corvin. Well, with the others gone, I wondered if I should head out too. I checked the clock on my phone as I stood. Maybe I'll also...
You're leaving?
Well, there's not that much left. Just 10 minutes or so.
I guess you're right.
Allie and Ewan had taken most of the lunch trash with them, but I took my cup and headed to the door to the club. Corvin got up a few minutes later and followed.
I was kind of hoping we'd get more time to talk today, but that didn't happen.
We've been talking this entire time.
I meant just the two of us.
Ah. Well, it wasn't like there wasn't still a little time left. I grabbed his coat sleeve and pulled him around the sofa, making him sit with me.
Nora? What?
We're alone now. What did you want to talk about?
Well, it's not like I had something specific.
He fidgeted with his scarf.
Hey, Nora.
Yeah?
Do you dislike me?
Again with this? I don't dislike you.
But I get the feeling you don't like being around me.
I'm not sure why you'd think that. If I didn't like to be around you, I wouldn't be here now, would I?
Well, I did sort of force you.
I just rolled my eyes at that. You did not force me. If I hadn't wanted to come, I wouldn't have. It's that simple. But if you want to know the truth, sometimes I don't know what to think about you. You're confusing.
I don't mean to be.
What made you think I dislike you?
Well, you treat me differently than other people do, you know. I wondered if maybe because you know about my ability and saw me working the other morning and made you uncomfortable.
Why would something like that make me uncomfortable? The way Allie told it, he just guided bits of lost souls back to their owners. That didn't seem problematic. He was just helping people out, right?
Well, I think a lot of people wouldn't be so friendly with me if they knew what I could see.
You mean because you can see their secrets? I mean, I can see them too, though the one I saw just looked like a cat.
That's how it looked to you. I don't see them in quite the same way.
You mean you can see what they really are, don't you? He nodded, still toying with the fringe on his scarf, twisting the strands around his fingers.
Ori are always hidden things. Things people don't want others to see. And yet I see all of them.
I mean, who cares about the true forms of the Ori? I don't need my lore. I need my love. Is that why you wear glasses, Boo? A sudden revelation hit me. So that's why you wear the glasses? You said before that you wear them to block out seeing things people wouldn't want you to see. I hadn't understood what he meant at the time, but now I realized. No one wanted another person to see all their secrets, and Corvin was already doing his best to not spy on the people around him. Still, there were incidents like the one with Dana, or the other secret roaming around, and Corvin had to look at those things whether he wanted to or not, because it was his job. Let's read about his job. Ah. Corvin wears glasses to keep himself from seeing paranormal stuff? I don't know what kind of stuff he wants to keep himself from seeing. He was kind of vague about it, really, but apparently looking through glasses can either help one see the supernatural or prevent it. Not sure why that would be the case, but it's an interesting tidbit.
I just figured that it would bother people if they knew how much I could see about them. I figured it bothered you.
No one else in the club seems to mind.
Well, that's different.
Was it really? Honestly, it had never crossed my mind to be wary around Corvin. Not for something like that. I mean, to be fair, I hadn't realized what all his ability entailed. I still didn't really get it. And I suppose that if I had time to really think about him seeing all my secrets, I might be a little embarrassed, but it wasn't his fault. He wasn't spying on purpose, and he went out of his way to try to avoid seeing as much as possible. I hadn't realized that it bothered him so much. I don't see how it's different. It's not like the people in the club don't have secrets or dreams and memories we don't want to share.
But a lot of them also have abilities they didn't ask for. Abilities that change how they have to live. They understand more.
But normal people won't understand.
Do you think they would?
So many options. I mean, honestly, you can't really say. I mean, it's very obvious why he would care. This is also true. But I want to hear what here's the thing is. I hope it's something really comforting. I don't know, but look, I'm no expert on relationships or whatever. But here's the thing. Every relationship has things to overcome. When you care about someone, you overlook whatever frustrating traits they have.
So you're saying that someone needs to just be able to overlook my frustrating abilities. That may be a tall order.
No more than overlooking anything else. Someone is hopefully going to be able to overlook my personality.
Nothing's wrong with your personality.
It's pretty rotten, isn't it?
No, I like your,
Rotten personality?
It's not rotten.
The point is, some people won't be able to deal with it, and I feel like if they can't, then they aren't worth my agonizing over it anyway. Some people won't be able to look past your being able to see their secrets, and some people won't be bothered by it at all. You just have to stick with the people who accept all of that as a part of what makes you... you.
You really think there's someone out there who can do that?
Of course. Like I said, no one in the club cares about your weirdo powers. You said it yourself, we're all weird too.
I didn't say it exactly like that.
So, why would we care about something like that? You already know everyone's biggest secret anyway.
That means if I want to find a girlfriend, then I just have to fall in love with someone in the club.
Well, I mean... Why did that question make me feel weird? I blamed Allie and her stupid teasing earlier. I cleared my throat awkwardly. What I mean is that if we don't care, then there are obviously other people out there who won't care.
I see. I still think it would be easier to just target one of you.
I hear Mark is single and ready to mingle.
Nah, he's not my type. Besides, and this is one of my secrets, I've always liked redheads.
I spent the next few seconds choking on my coffee. But I'm the only one. I really wanted to strangle him. We sat in silence for a moment, but something occurred to me. Corvin, if you can see memories, then doesn't that mean you can see the memories I lost? The ones from when I went missing as a kid. He looked troubled at the suggestion.
It's not as easy as just looking into your head or something like that. I'm not a telepath. I can't see Ori that are dormant, whether they're attached or not. Not unless I look really, really deeply. And that's not easy for me or the target. Forgetting something isn't the same as losing it. Even if these are memories you've lost, then I'd have to try to track them down. They don't lie around waiting to be seen. They're not exactly sentient, but they do have a will of their own in a way, and can wander from the host. For the ones that are lost, I won't see them unless it's by happenstance.
But you can do it. It's just difficult.
Wandering that deep into someone's subconscious isn't something I can do lightly.
Why not?
It's painstaking. And painful sometimes. And things can go wrong.
He looked away, a deep frown creasing his brow.
Please don't ask me to do something like that.
Okay. It felt like a chance to find out what really happened back then just slipped away.
Why are you so determined to find out what happened anyway? Is it that important?
Well, it's uncomfortable not knowing what happened, but you were there that first day in the club. Like Allie said, my past disappearances and everything that happened with Spencer, there's a good chance it's related to my being Fae. I guess I keep thinking that she might be right. If I can piece together what happened back then, maybe I can fix things. We both went through so much. I mean, Spencer was blinded in one eye, and I have no idea what happened. I just know he blames me. At the time, he said I was a monster or something. Maybe I really did hurt him and I don't even remember. Maybe all the hate and anger. Maybe there's a legitimate reason for it. I just want to know. I want to fix it. I want things to be the way they used to be.
You can't possibly think you're really a monster.
No, but I'm not human. Or at least not a normal one. To a child who doesn't understand what he's seen, it could have looked like that. So that would mean he's not lying. In a way, it was more frightening than the sleepwalking, more frightening than anything else. I didn't know what he'd seen. But under the circumstances, I had to believe he'd seen something. That maybe I'd done something to him. And I didn't know what or how. Not knowing myself was terrifying. Suddenly, two big hands covered my own.
Hey, are you okay?
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to be dramatic about it. I just wish I had answers.
Look, when Samhain is over, we can sit down and talk about it, okay?
Sure. There were only a couple of minutes remaining, so I pulled my hands from his and stood. Thanks for inviting me today. I'm glad I came.
You can start having lunch there with me more often if you want. I wouldn't mind getting away from the crowd more often, too.
Yeah. I think we're on our way. I think I'd really like that a lot, actually.
Really?
You don't have to sound so surprised. Today was nice. And it's quieter than the cafeteria. I liked it. Even Ewan was mostly pleasant.
He can be when you get to know him. Though, I'd prefer it if the best part of today was spending time with me.
I'll have to think really hard about that.
You're so mean.
So you say.
Then, Maybe sometime next week.
I gave him a sly smile. It's a date.
You know, that's my line.
I thought I'd borrow it. Just once. So cute, my heart. Soon enough, the day was over. Since everyone was busy prepping for Samhain, there wasn't much of a club meeting that afternoon. I didn't really have anything in particular to do, but everyone's concern over the upcoming holiday made me glad to finally get home. Not to mention all the talk at lunch about people getting eaten. I was looking forward to the holiday being over for sure.